Well, welcome to another Factory of the Future podcast. Today we've got Dr. Asma Sharafi, and she is going to be taking us on a little introduction on what has led to her success, how the batteries industry is changing the markets to what we see today. From it turning innovations into market-ready solutions to navigating a male-dominated field through mentorship and exclusive leadership. Alexandra is going to be doing this introduction. We're doing things a little bit off today, but I hope you enjoyed as much as we had making it. Thank you.
Welcome to Factory of the Future, people-powered health podcast focused on trends shaping the future of manufacturing. I'm Alexandria Burek, your host, here with A.W. Schultz, two thought leaders with a passion for people and manufacturing. Today and every episode, we are diving deep into the advancements, sustainable practices, and dynamic changes transforming how we produce everything.
And now welcome Alexandria Burek and A.W. Schultz.
Yes, we have an incredible woman, a leader in the space. We have Dr. Asma Sharafi. She is the Senior Vice President of Partnerships, Development, and Product Strategy at Ensurge Micropower. She leads the company's strategic partnerships, customer programs, and commercialization efforts in its next generation solid-state micro battery platform. With deep experience in solid-state innovation, product road mapping, and manufacturing readiness, Asma focuses on translating advanced electrochemical technology into market-ready solutions. She is also an active industry voice through Battery MBA and the Volta Foundation, advising emerging clean tech teams and championing the future of high-performance microenergy systems. Asma, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate the invitation, and I really look forward to having an honest conversation and seeing how we can go through my journey.
So,
Awesome.
just a quick Asma and we met on a call, and we were talking about where we see the future of the industries, talking about Industry 4.0 and 5.0, and that's kind of the introduction that we have onto it. But I really haven't got a good aspect of understanding how did you end up in your career? Because it's very interesting as far as for our audience and for me and Alexander, where you're a woman in this industry, and I think it's fantastic. And I know Alexander was so excited when I asked if she'd be interested in being on our podcast. So
Yeah.
please tell us.
Of course, yeah. My career has been always at an intersection of advanced battery technology, manufacturing, and product development. I really focus on how we can push the boundaries of the current battery technology, lithium-ion battery, for improved safety, improved energy density, and all of the key performance indicators that are satisfying the new needs of customer. Our electrification is evolving. We are going to an era of AI where there is a lot of security and stability needed. And also, we need to stay competitive in this market, not only for competitiveness, but also for stability and security as a nation. And that is why I am working in the battery. I begin my journey in advanced battery technology as a PhD, getting my PhD in solid-state battery technology, where there was this new technology I heard about that can push to double the energy density. It's going to address the range anxiety that the customers have in EV market and all of that. So at the beginning of my journey, when I was at Ford and Rivian, I really focused on what are those new chemistries that we can push the boundaries. And then working in an R&D realm, the new innovation, the new materials, the new electrochemistry to unblock that. But then I wanted to walk the product. So I started transitioning into, instead of R&D, now how can I get that innovation in the hand of the customer? And more recently, I have been as a part of it as a CEO at PowerCo US, where we were working in a partner who were looking into solid state battery technology and finding out how we can, through that partnership, building that relationship, take the technology from lab to market in hands of the customer and implement it. And most recently, I joined InSurge, as you mentioned in the introduction, as a SVP of partnership development and product strategy in order to really find and focus how we can strengthen the entrance of the solid state battery micro batteries in the hand of customer. Very different market segment. I've been always working in automotive. Now I'm working in implantable wearables, consumer electronics, where micro batteries can just revolutionize its technology. I would say in no matter where I was in my career, Ford, Rivian, PowerCo, and Surge, where I felt I can be much more sort of impactful was when I converged the R&D, manufacturing, product development, and customer engagement. And I build my team. I build that cross-functional team culture to get it done and really make sure those silos are broken. We are not different segregated departments. We have to all come together. And one thing just I want to mention is it's not about the technology always. The technologies will work if as people we can enable them to work. And that has been where I wanted to bring all those teams, all those people together, have that inclusive culture to push the technology beyond where they are and take that innovation in the hands of the customer. So yes, I'm definitely excited what I'm doing, where I am, and would love to share as much as I can today.
That's absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. And what an amazing, I mean, how many people are using batteries just constantly throughout the day and don't even think about the
Yes.
technology and the effort that goes into that. And I think what also is inspiring is your deep technical knowledge probably positions you in a much better way than most people to articulate the value that your company brings to the marketplace. So great and amazing work there. I'd love to know what is maybe, and this is something I guess I didn't talk about, but as you were going and sharing your history, I think what would be one fun fact about batteries that the common person doesn't really know, or like what would be something that just they don't really they wouldn't think of with batteries? Like what would you like the audience to know about batteries that we don't know?
Well, I think there are a lot of myths related to charging, discharging, and all of that. But all I can say is batteries are so complicated. We all take it for granted. I never forget my manager at Ford when I joined him talking about advanced battery technology. He sat in front of me and I was concerned like my results are not good. It is not working. I don't think I can meet my goals and all of that. Is like, Asma, the fact that batteries work is a miracle. And we want another miracle to happen again. The fact that we experienced it during our lifetime for the lithium ion battery, and if we make it happen again for solid state battery, it is golden. And I would say the fun fact will be it is complicated. It's not an easy task. What we're trying to do is a very complicated, tons of components come together at a cell level. Then we're thinking, okay, now it is performing at cell level in a very controlled environment. Now I want to make sure it's repeatable millions of times. And then I'm going to connect them into a system and I'm going to put that system in and it has flammable component that catch on fire and I'm going to put it in a car and I'm going to have my kid sit on top of that and I'm going to drive, go fast. I cannot know how my customers are even using it and I want to make sure they are safe. I would say you're welcome. That the engineers are behind it to test it, to make sure you are safe, to make sure you experience it. You can go off-roading, you can go fast, you can go, and we're not stopping. We want to make sure that experience that we're providing to our customer in a consumer electronics, in an EV, is flawless. That's what we're going after. There's no bar. We're going to just go higher and higher and higher.
That's incredible.
So Alexandra, we're sitting here. Guess what we're talking about again? Energy. And
I know.
I wanted to talk about that. Just you and I one on one, but it's transforming how things are done. And Asma, I'm sorry, we didn't discuss this, but if I wanted to learn more about batteries, is there like a go-to? I mean, I'm throwing you out there. I'm just thinking. I'm so naive to batteries, other than I know how to plug them in, and
Yes.
where
Yeah,
where would you
there
send
are.
somebody?
Well, I would say, right now the accessing there is just YouTubing if you want to get a 101, if it's gonna be there's actually it's interesting. One of my friends, he wrote a book about batteries for kids, and I have a 6-year-old, and I
That's what I
read it
want.
for
Yeah,
her. Exactly. I'm like, it was interesting. And I told her, I'm like, kudos to you, how you just said it in a very easy way for my daughter to know what is a battery. It literally sleeps at night to recharge because he gave all of his energy. And then if you just run fast, you run out of the energy. There is a lot of synergies between how we operate and how batteries operate. And it is an easy way. But I would say one book that I read, and again, it might be too detailed, it might be too technical, was Advanced Batteries by Huggins. That has been a reference that I really love. And if anyone wants to work in the battery technology, I would say that is the right reference to go. And one thing is, there are not as many references. And I think we
no,
are starting to see how people are realizing we need playbooks. We need things to refer to, because a lot of it is read research, read papers, but having those references to just anchor you to know, okay, this is the basics and go from there. They are coming out a lot. And yes, advanced battery technology would be my recommendation, YouTubing different aspect. And I loved one of my coworkers talked about, batteries. If you want to talk about charge and discharge and these dendrite penetration, and everyone is like, what is that? You just want to put it in the right terminology. And I said it in one of the other conversation I had is, just imagine lithium ions are cars and you have a parking. You put the cars in the parking. The battery is charged. Now you want to go and get the cars in the road to work. You take them out of the parking. You can just go fast or slow. That is how you're using it. They go and then they do the job. Then you want to bring them back in the parking. So you are charging it back. It matters how fast you charge. You want to rush the cars in the parking so you can close it and then say, okay, the shift is done. If you do it too fast, accidents are going to happen. If that happens, the batteries might fail, because then that accident will cause, a huge block in the street. So these are the ways that I think we can bring it to the attention of the people of why it matters, what it takes time for development, and it's just a switch on and switch off. And I'm definitely happy to have 101, like whatever you need, would be happy to help you better understand the different chemistries, what is the lay of land in the battery industry as well.
That's
Alexander, one more
incredible.
question before
Okay.
we change the subject. Okay,
Yes.
I still like talking about batteries, but I know we wanted to really get into your background.
Yeah.
Like for the way it is right now, if you probably travel quite a bit, and there's discounts they get if you do electric vehicles out there. And I remember this is like less than 2 years ago, and I was intimidated. I had to change it. Like, no, I don't want to get electric vehicle. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. Like, I gotta charge it and take it back, and it's like I consider myself educated, but naive to it. And there's a push for EV, and I think we're going to see that we're seeing it right now.
Yes.
And I mean, when you started your career, was it that kind of thoughts onto it? Is like, this is the future, and we're starting to see it now, and you're just prospering, or you're gaining that kind of like. You're the
Traction.
first battery person I'm gonna call you. I'm sorry. I don't want to insult you. You've got it. You're a doctor in the subject onto it.
Yeah.
And where's it's the future. I'm gonna just say it's the future.
It is the future. And I think due to the decarbonization, yes, right now, due to geopolitical environment that we're within, it is a slowing down. A lot of companies are pushing their timeline, they are stopping and all of that. But I think electrification is one aspect of it. Again, every time we talk about batteries, everyone goes back to EVs. EVs is, yes, one aspect of utilizing batteries, and for decarbonization, for getting to a cleaner environment, we are utilizing batteries. We need to decouple and our reliance on coal and like other like the ICE systems, and we need to look into how EVs can enable that. We had EVs in the market 10 years ago, 5 years ago. They had the high cost, the infrastructure wasn't there. If I want to go on a road trip, can I go on a road trip? Can I charge it if I want to charge it? And it was, I think, people not being informed to know. If I had that anxiety, I'm like, if I buy an EV and I'm in Michigan at the time I was living, it gets to -40. How can I turn on my car? If I need to charge it and the charging stations are not reliable or they're not accessible, how can I continue? These are, and if I have to go for a 12 hours ride and then charging takes 45 minutes, how can I really like add up? And I have a kid in my car, they're gonna get bored, like all of that. So I feel we are working to improve the performance of the batteries to the point it takes you 10 minutes to recharge. We're
Wow.
providing that infrastructure that no matter where you're going, there is going to be a charger. It is going to be reliable. You don't have to definitely go just to the Tesla supercharger. There are other ones, or like Tesla is opening up to other companies who can use their chargers. It is not going to be inclusive only. So I think that push into providing that awareness, the infrastructure, the improved KPIs to address the anxiety of our customers, and also cost. I want to have an EV, but if I have to pay $100,000, I cannot afford it. So that's why there is a push for, okay, how we can bring it down, and knowing 50%, 60% of the cost is coming from the batteries. That was introduction of LFP, maybe for the early day commuter. There's a different chemistry. You don't have to pay for high costs. We're changing the portfolio of the product that are in the market. So I think it has been there, but now you see more EVs in the market to help you adapt. It was early adapter who went through the pain, who provided the feedback. We collected the data, we improved upon that, and now we're trying to see how we can push it further, further, and further. And yes, I don't want anyone to get disappointed, but it is a slowing down, but it doesn't mean it's going to go away.
No.
We will get there. We need to control it. That decarbonization is needed. That resilience, that security, that stability is needed. One part of it is EVs. The other one is all of these hurricanes and things that are happening. There is a grid resilience you also have to have. If you're having the AI and there are data centers that have to operate, they do need batteries. So I feel like every aspect of your life that you look in, you see there is a need for batteries. Small, big, huge. It's gonna be in different forms, in different system, in different performance pathways. And it is not everyone's job to sort of know all of the details, but it is on the people who are working on it to know what is your concept. If you want to get to that adaptation, what do you care about? How can I provide you with that low cost that you can afford it? How can I provide you with that safety so you feel you're okay to use it? Your phone, you're putting it beside your head when you're sleeping to put it in charge. You don't want it to catch on fire. When those come in the news, you're like, okay, so should I just put my phone somewhere else? So these are the things we are working on to get a stability for market access, and believing that this will be the right path, and just widening that product portfolio.
That's incredible. I love that. And it's funny, as you were talking about the different concerns customers have, I used to drive a lot. I probably still will drive. And the road tripping was my biggest concern or question, or different things like that. Like somebody was like, "Oh, are you going to get an EV next?" And I was like, "I don't know. I feel like I drive too much for that." So we'll see. Maybe you might have convinced me otherwise here on
Happy.
this episode. I wanted to ask a little bit about your experience. So you mentioned your current role is at a woman-led organization. So I'd love to hear about your experience in that realm, as well as maybe some of the past experiences you've had working in mostly a male-dominated industry. I know
Yeah.
before we got on, we talked about being the only woman in the room and usually the youngest also, and kind of what goes into that. And just if
Yeah.
you have any advice for some young listeners out there who hopefully might also be a woman as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I in my entire career, I would say I work in a male-dominated environment, automotive, batteries. Not as many women are there. And there are a lot of rooms that you are the only woman in a technical room, in an executive room. It feels uncomfortable. You need to say and show your strength through your technical depth. And also you need to have the clarity for communication. At the earlier stage of my career, I was not sure if I'm welcome in those meetings. I try to stay away, closest to the door. There are chairs around the room, not at the table. And it wasn't because I wasn't competent, I wasn't qualified, but it was in my mind of, do they care that I'm here? Should I voice my opinion? And I'm so happy I got to talked to one of my mentors, and she told me, read this book, Lean In, by Cheryl. And I read through that and I realized I'm not the only woman who's experiencing it. There's a lot of women who are experiencing such a thing of, do I belong? Yes, you belong in every single room. Your opinion matters. It is your mind, the first thing that, do I belong? Do I have to be here? Do they care? Remove that. Think about, I belong here and they value my opinion. And how you can get there is, yes, get your technical depth to the level that secure a seat at the table for you, get that exposure, and learn how to communicate with the data-driven information, with clarity, with composure, so you lead that table. Because you can be at that table, but then the way you are expressing yourself matters. And if I want to give an advice to younger women, I would say, don't doubt yourself. Having mentors helped a lot. And I'm not saying get the mentors who just inspire you, get the mentors who will advocate for you, get the mentors who will open the doors for you, get the mentors who will, while you're going through different chapters of your life, they will give you advice, they will help you to validate your assumptions, making sure you are having and making your decision based on the right assumptions. I am owing a lot of my decisions in my mentor, just because there was a lot of times that I doubted that, like, should I take this on? Yes, I am young. Like, I don't have those gray hairs. Would they respect me in that room? They're like, yes, they respect you because the knowledge, the information that you have is what matters. You can gain it in 10 years, you can gain it over 30 years. And I would say I would surround myself by the people who will provide me with the opportunity, who will empower me, and they see that potential in me before even I see that, and make sure that there is no way, there is no time that you are going to be that 100% perfect of yourself. Jump on it, and then you will see how you will raise to the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
And the last piece I would say, I took it on me. I need to, if I am stepping into a leadership role, I also owe it to my team, I owe it to my organization to create that inclusive environment. Not about women, it is about anyone. As I
Mm-hmm.
said, a success doesn't come with my technology is working. A success comes with the people who are driving that technology through the stages. And if I empower my team, if I empower and create that inclusive, safe environment, when asking for help, asking for question is not a weakness, it's not a strength. And I tell them, I value your opinion and I provide you that safe environment where you can share. And I might critique you. I might tell you, no, I feel you have not looked into that. And we brainstorm together, then that is where we can grow and we can feel better. And yeah, it comes with time. And all I can say to the women who are working in that male dominated environment, you're not alone. We all have that experience. it is an extra battle that we have to put on. And what we did, it was interesting. In one of the companies that I was, we had a women organization. And then I saw there are boys and the guys who are joining those. And there was like one of the girls, she was like, I don't know why they are here. Why are they here? I'm like, I want them here because they will hear our pain point. They will understand what are we going through. And then next time, if we are in a meeting and someone is behaving in a way that doesn't let me be me, they will remind them, hey, like put a stop to that. We need men as our advocate as well. So they also help us create that inclusive environment. It shouldn't be alone. I love when you're having women-focused groups and you welcome everyone because you need to create that. We need to set the examples all across the company's organization to make sure it's just a matter of different cultures, different opinions, different genders come together, look at it from different perspective, and make their, you just mold it into that shape. And the more hands, the more force, the easier it gets to mold it to the point you want it to get to.
That's
Can
awesome.
I ask a question that you talked about mentorship, and I think I failed probably earlier in my career on just identifying that, as when you look for mentorship, you have to be out there and kind of grasping it and finding it. And I kind of always felt like, well, the mentee will find you, and it's not necessarily the case. So are you, how did you determine that my best, it's a tool it's a tool to go out and find mentorship. How did you select, or what was your approach into that? Because I think this was uh, an advantage that I think that others can grasp onto, is like you can have the greatest education, you can have all the prosperity, but if you're not looking to advance yourself by finding out the talent out there, I think I was intimidated because individuals, like I would go to a meeting, like I would like to more, but do you say like, can you be my mentor, or are you just like, hey, I'm looking for advice?
Yeah, so the way I was intimidated at the beginning because I felt, why should I care? Who am I? And I'm like, well, what do I have to lose? I'm gonna ask, they're gonna ignore me. Cold
Yeah.
calling. Like literally, and how I searched that person was either I saw this is the career path that they took, and oh my God, what if I can follow that? What was their experience? So I just either try to get to a conference, to a meeting, to a setting to say, hey, I'm inspired by the way you're going up the ladder. And I would love to get a chance of having a brief conversation, 10 minutes of your time, talking over the phone, a coffee on me. I drive you to airport. Let me know. I'll do
Yeah.
that. And I was fascinated by the fact that how people responded. I'm like, wow, like really? Like, did you have time to even bother to read my message? And then you just see it. If you don't ask, no one will come to you and say, let me help you. Like, should I feel you need help? You go and ask, and they will just open the door. Like, and you just need to knock on the door. If you don't knock, no one knows you're behind it. So I did that, and then it started. We had the conversation. I'm like, hey, like this is what I'm thinking. I know you might be busy. We can define it based on your timeline, 1 month per month, maybe during my decision making. What do you think? And depending on how the conversation went, it just flowed. And it can be on a career, it can be on a personal level, it can be on just, I like the way you talk. How did you learn how to talk? Like whatever. It's just, and all I can say is you have no idea how people are welcoming. I feel unfortunately the social media has created this hype of you just share the good thing, you never share the bad things. And we are interacting through the phones and likes and messages, and it's the messages are getting shorter and shorter and shorter and turn to a thumbs up, that we lost that sitting in front of each other and have a genuine conversation. And whenever when you're sitting at a setting, your phone is on the table and you're peeking and we don't pay attention. And I just tell my mentors, like, I want you to be here. When you're here and you're present, I want you to be present. Can we have that? And if you tell me it's just 5 minutes of that focus time, I take on that. I don't want an hour, because then I know you're going to be like, let me check my phone. Let me see what is going on. So, and that has been very motivating, and different aspect, different chapters of my life. I had conversation with a lot of my mentors that are really guiding me. They open the door. They help me expand my network. And one little piece of advice is you want to also make sure you're consulting with the right people. Because sometimes when you're making a decision, if you start overwhelming with you with a lot of information flowing to you, everyone will have their own opinion. So you either are good into hearing the feedback, goods and bads and noise reductions are gonna be the process you go through, or you say, okay, these are the 2, 3 people, and then you just continue having that genuine conversation with them and learn how you can take that. But at the end, the decision is yours. You just want to get their support into validating that assumption, as I mentioned, making sure you're looking at it from a different perspective. It can be a younger person, it can be an older person, it can be an experienced person, it can be a woman, it can be someone who's living in the US, it can be someone who's not in the US. It's just like anyone will add that little perspective, and through that brainstorming together, you just refine what is your decision, who are you, what is going to be your next step.
That's great advice. And that really is something I'm going to take away from this, is just asking someone to be a mentor. I know it sounds very simple and obvious, but I think a lot of us take for granted that it really just comes down to simply asking. And like you said, what's the worst case? I also think what was brilliant about what you shared is that your mentor can be younger, older, and then also mentoring people.
Yeah.
Like I, I try my best to mentor the people that I work with, and most of the people I work with are older than me. But because of my experience and my background and the different roles that I've had, it's just been such a wide range of experience that I can then help to mentor some of my older, colleagues who are still so interested in learning and developing. And I think that's really inspiring as well, is seeing the people who, are at maybe the last quarter of their career, who are just excited to learn and excited to keep developing. So that's really, really a cool bit of advice. And I'm definitely going to check that book out that you recommended, Lean In, for anybody who missed it. So.
Exactly. And one other thing that I want to mention in the mentorship, it's a two-way street. I remember one of my mentors is like, why do you want me to be your mentor? You should be my mentor. I'm like, okay, perfect, a two-way street. I asked my question, you asked your question. And
Yeah.
literally it got to that point of it started with me seeking him to be my mentor. And then the conversation, he called me like, I need help. Like, what should I do here? I'm like, okay, like, let me help. And you just grow into it. It just comes naturally. It's the human piece. We are a part of the society. We help each other. We try. I feel the ugliness that is out there is clouding our mindset, and we just need to clear it out and see each other as human being. And again, I would just say, send a message, knock on that door. It's gonna open.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah, I'm older now, and I would say I've never turned anybody away that had a valid question or for advice. And I that's why I like how you said it. And I just want to drive that home, is like, reach out to those individuals that if you've got if you're looking for advice on it, reach out to them. And if you truly, they won't turn you down. I honestly believe that if they're good people, they will not turn you down, and you value them, and everyone's got an instinct to it. They will not turn you down.
Yes.
And I think that's probably been your kind of what your advice has been, is like, just ask. And if that works out to you, and it's manufacturing batteries are so simple. Just ask for advice, right?
Simple, easy.
Asma, you said something earlier as you were talking about building an inclusive team. And I'd love to get your take on what are the ingredients to an inclusive team. If there's a leader out here, AW and I like to offer up advice not only to the worker who may be on the factory floor front lines, but also the people who are leading the teams and trying to create that engagement, that sense of appreciation. So if you had to kind of summarize what you think the key ingredients are to creating an inclusive and productive team, what do you think that would look like?
I would say it's clarity, cadence, and context.
Okay.
What I mean with clarity is a lot of times I think from the leaders in the companies, we say, this is what I want you to do. But we need to tell them this is why I want you to do what I'm asking you to do. That why will help them know what is their objective. What is my objective as a leader to cadence to the departments that like goes down to the teams to the individuals. Clarity. Tell them the why. We always give them the what. And as a result of it, they don't feel they are a part of it. Make them a part of the journey. Get them buy into the goals. Get them to know this is their vision. Because at the end, they can say, well, it's my 8 hours. I'm getting paid. It doesn't matter. But once you give them motivated by giving them that mission and make your goals mission driven and get them the closest to the mission, then it's easy. The second part of it is that cadence. I feel a lot of times that projects didn't get done, in my experience, is there was a question they asked, I answered, no one cared. I'm like, okay, so are we dropping it? Do we don't care about it? Have we pivoted? I am working in a startup company. Every day is pivoting. We are changing this, we are changing that. It doesn't work. We're not automating. We are automating. We are going with this customer segment. No, we're not doing that. We're going next year. No, we are not doing it. We are low in budget. Yes, we have a lot of budget. Like, what are we doing? Like, give me that communication and cadence of this is the why, this is the what. Let's monitor the progress. I'm not saying on a daily basis, sit and overwhelm the team with meetings, but enough in order to keep track, to keep the progress, to celebrate the wins, to know what are the next steps. We are working in a global environment. I am talking to someone who's sitting in Europe, who's sitting in Asia, and how can I get there is by coming through those meetings to say, okay, these are the things we have to get done. This is where I am. This is my blocker. I need your support. I'm unblocking it. This is where I don't know how to handle that. Help me. Again, ask for like support. And then the last part of it is context. And what I mean with that, we are different culture. Even if you are not a global company in one country, we are a global culture. There are different cultures, even not only from different ethnicity, but people from same country can have different point of view. And we need to know how people want to be like the communication, what are the escalation pathways. And as a leader, you need to stay close to the team in order to know what are the gaps and close that gaps. The way you lead is not by sitting in your office, behind your desk, at the monitor and just typing or reviewing. You go and connect with the people. You learn what is their pain point. Once you get that connection, you realize the gaps, and then again, those clarity, the context, and the cadence will come together, and you will close that gaps. I think that has been what I felt. Again, yes, technologies are the ones that we have to take through. There's a lot of pivoting. There's a lot of uncertainties that we are experiencing, but we need to create accountability. We need the ownership. There's another book that I want to recommend, Lead by Ownership. If we are always, as leaders of a company, we feel, whose fault is it? Is it you or is it you or is it you? It is a leadership. If the ship is sinking, you didn't train your team, you didn't break those silos, you didn't close out gaps so the team knows what is in their toolbox, how they can rely on each other. In that book, there's actually a study that there's this rowing team. that they are competing against each other, and one of the teams is always number one. And then this team who's always struggling to just compete, the leader says, you know what, my team is not good. They don't come, they don't wake up, they are not listening to me. They said, okay, so then switch. You get the best team who's winning all the time, and then this leader will get this worst team that you've ever had. And then on the time that they race, that very weak team wins. And then they realize it is on the leader to bring the team together. That empowerment we talked about, that context that I talked about, that what and why that we talked about, that got the team to win together. And team is a word, a four-letter word, but is a very strong word that I feel we really need to pay attention to the people. At the beginning, when I was doing assessment, I was like, what is that technology? What is the potential of the technology? The technology. Now I'm like, this is a technology. What about the team? How are they thinking? What is the culture? How are they communicating? What is the ego in that team? How are they empowering each other? And those are the ones that really matter, in my opinion. And the leaders are the gatekeeper to create that culture in the company.
That's incredible. I would love for you to write a book on that. That is one of the most profound leadership ideas that I think we've talked about or heard of since doing this. And AW is constantly doing research because he's in getting his PhD. I'm more boots on the ground, hitting the factory floor, like my background and things like that. But it's really incredible, and I think that's absolutely profound. So I'm sure you don't have some lax amount of time just laying around, but if it ever comes up, I would strongly recommend you try to write that book, and I would be the first to read it. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. As you're saying this, I'm like, she's amazing. This is incredible. I love that. That's brilliant. I hope all the leaders listen. I'm gonna have to send this to my boss.
I no,
Check this out.
I'm sorry. I got a follow-up question for that. So
Sure.
you've worked for several different I don't call it project organizations. So you come in, how do you judge or how do you set the standard for what you want to accomplish at those organizations? We read your bio, and there's many different companies that were on there, and very influential, successful companies. But you're coming in, and you got to lay the groundwork. Is there like a go-to that you tend to think about, or how you try to set the team together?
Is it like you mean the question is like how I choose what the company I choose, or
No. It's like, how do you've accepted this role,
Mhm.
and you got to change the mindsets that,
Mm.
oh, by the way, you're a woman of color of in an industry that's known there. What do you do to try to get those that work for you to
Mm.
buy into your thoughts?
So I would say it happens by the first thing is instead of coming in and making changes, is to sit with the team, to hear them out, and providing again that safe environment. So they share, this is what am I, this is my strengths, it is my weaknesses, this is a company-wide things that are going on, and hear everyone's perspective, I feel, and go all the way through different layers of the company. Everyone's voice should be heard. If it's even someone who's working 1 day per week comes in and goes to different rooms or whatever they do, you want to hear everyone's voice. Of course, if you have 100,000 employees, it's not possible. But having those skip level meetings, I think that will give you that point of view instead of just hearing from your first line. Have those skip the level meeting, provide a safe environment for data sharing, hear that pain point, and then try to read what are the patterns, what are those things that are creating a positive or negative patterns, and then learn what is the culture that the team is used to. Because if you come and say, I'm demanding this and we are going in this different direction, not necessarily you're going to be successful. You want to get that buy-in. Again, that context that I talked about, give them that context, give them that, like, this is our priority. We have tens of things that are not operating right. But by this observation, I feel by making these step-by-step changes, we can get a buy-in from the team and we can celebrate those little wins that we have along the way to get that buy-in that yes, it is working. And hearing that feedback, again, it's not like you should not listen to every feedback, but you need to have an open eye and open ears, listen, that like active listening, instead of having your bias. Those will help to know the pain points and then find out what would work in this culture. What worked in my previous company doesn't necessarily work here because we're working on a different technology. We're working in a very different environment. We're having a different skill set. We're having a different dynamic of the team. We have a different history, the trauma the team went through. And one thing that I would say is I work in a lot of startup companies where there is a lot of changes, pivots, uncertainty, and you cannot avoid that. You can create a process that you can adapt to those changes. If it's a roadmap, you make a very flexible roadmap. You make sure you have feedback loops. You communicate, you hold on development phase gates, and make sure you design, build, assess the failure modes, redesign, validate, and then push. But in the higher level, you create that stability for the team. It is an unstable process, but I'm giving you a stability as a leader so you feel that stable environment. And it is hard. It is not an easy task. By all means, I'm not meaning it's just like piece of cake. Like, let me write you that recipe and I send it to you in email. It takes experiencing it and going through that over and over, learn from your mistakes. And one thing, and I want to maybe close it with, will be I've never seen any experience as a failure mode. I always see this is what I've learned from this experience. It didn't work the way it would have, but I will do it differently next time. And it's an opportunity. And learn. I wish we could be 300 years old and the first 100 years we could go through that failure mode and then adapt and be a better self in the next 100 or the next 200. But we have a shorter period of time. And then all I can say is never see your whatever is not working the way you were thinking is going to work as a failure. Just see it as an opportunity to learn, to be a better you, to be a better leader, to be a better engineer, to be a better technician, to be a better person, and go to your next journey with a much more things in your toolbox to navigate.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. Well, we have obviously taken up a very great deal of time and we loved every minute of it. I think I could speak for both of us when I say that. So we have a funny little tradition, kind of cheesy, but we'll do it. So are we clocking out?
Like finished goods.
Yeah. Asma, thank you so much for joining the podcast today. We truly enjoyed it, and we'll hopefully get a chance to stay in touch. I'd love to hear how things roll out and to hear what you're up against as you work in this new organization.
This is Factory of the Future, and we are out of here like finished goods. Stay tuned for our next episode of Factory of the Future, where we're exploring groundbreaking techniques and behaviors that are reshaping industrial landscapes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review and help others discover the cutting-edge insights transforming manufacturing as we know it.